So suppositories and the pessaries, these are the semi-solid dosage forms, or most probably it is called as also solid dosage form. They are having the one-time dose. It means they are having the unit dose, or the one-time dose is there once they have utilized, and they are prepared by using the semi-solid bases, and we are incorporating the drug, and they are administered through the rectum or vaginal cavity. So they are called as the suppositories. In the definition, we can say that a suppository is a medicated solid dosage form generally intended for use in the rectum, vagina, and to a lesser extent to the urethra also. Most probably it is utilized in the rectum as well as vaginal cavity. After the insertion, after the insertion or the after the administration of this suppository through the rectum, generally it will melt at the body temperature. When the same suppository we are utilizing through the vaginal cavity, they are called as the pessaries. It is the name is just different, and the method of preparation and other things are near to same. And these pessaries are also made up of with the same methodology, mostly by using the compress method as like as tablets. And these suppositories as well as the pessaries, when administered, generally they used to melt at the body temperature. And after the melting, that drug will be released in the your rectum site, and it will be absorbed inside the bloodstream. Simply the difference is that when you are taking the tablet, it is reaches to the stomach, and after that it will get disintegrated, and the your drug is getting dissolved in the gastric fluid, and then it will be absorbed through the wall of stomach. And here your drug is absorbed through the walls of rectum or the walls of the vaginal cavity. So there is just a simple difference. Here we have to insert your rectum, your pessaries or the suppository through the rectum or through the vaginal cavity with the help of one device. And in other case, in the case of tablet, your tablet we have to taken through the oral cavity. When there is the problem in the rectum site or vaginal site, and at the same time suppose we want the local action or the at the site of action, or there is any problem into the vaginal cavity or into the rectum site. So when we are inserting such kind of your suppository or pessary, so it is reaching directly to the your affected site, and they are releasing the drug. That's why absorption of the your suppository will be the fast compared to the your tablet, because in the rectum there is the abundant amount of blood flow is available. That's why the viability of the your pessaries as well as tablet is having the more than the your tablet. When we are utilizing such kind of suppository or pessaries, there are the so many type of advantages to that suppository as well as the pessaries. Now we'll see the what are the probable advantages of suppositories as well as the pessaries. The first advantage is that when there is the problem in the oral route, or we cannot use the oral route for the patient, so it may be possible that your patient is unconscious, or there is any surgery through the toward the oral cavity, and you cannot administer the dose through the oral cavity. So in that case we can use the other route, like your injections, like topical by application of ointments, as well as we can use the your suppositories as well as the your pessaries. So we can say that if you are not able to use the oral route, then we can use the rectum route also, but we cannot administer tablet. We have to administer the suppositories through the rectum route. Sometimes another advantage is that sometimes patients gastrointestinal tract may have the problem. Suppose any patient is having the peptic ulcer, that he is not able to take the drug through the oral cavity because of the problem in the rectum, uh, problem in the sorry intestine. So in that case, you can use the same route. Some patient may have the nausea or the post-operative problem. So in this case, if you are taking the tablets to the oral cavity, so because of the nausea, vomiting may persist. So in that case, your tablet may get lost. So to avoid the losses of drug, to avoid the losses of such kind of tablets and capsules, so better way, if we are having such kind of patient that is not having the ability to take the drug or to take the tablets through the oral cavity, so in that case we can use the rectum route or the vaginal route. Then as well as some patients which are young means small childs like this, as well as some people are mentally disturbed. So they may not have the, you can say, ability to take the tablets, or their mentality is not to accept the tablet or the capsule. So in that case, we can use the suppository or we can use the pessary. So it is the alternative for delivering of the your same drug. Suppose you are delivering the paracetamol through the same tablet, the same paracetamol we can deliver with the help of suppository. Simply we are change the route, but your drug is reaching into the body with the same amount. Then another advantage of suppository is that some drugs are having the gastrointestinal tract infections or the side effects. Suppose we are having the any kind of we can say nimesulide is there, or any kind of painkiller is there. Generally, when we are taking this kind of drug through the oral cavity, generally these drugs are having the tendency to increase the acidity. So suppose we are having the such drugs which are having the which are causing the problems in the gastrointestinal tract, like in stomach or in intestine. So such kind of drug we can deliver through the rectum side by in the form of pessaries or the suppositories. So here we can say this is the another one choice for us to deliver your drug through the rectum or the vaginal site. So those drugs which are causing the problems in the your GI tract, so this kind of drugs we can deliver through the rectum or in the form of suppository or the pessary. Then another advantage of suppository is there that some drugs are not stable at the gastrointestinal pH, or some drugs are susceptible for the enzymatic action inside your stomach. So there are so many drugs, they are getting metabolized completely inside your stomach itself, because in the stomach there are so many enzymes are present for the metabolism purpose. So suppose we are taking the drug from the stomach or the oral route, so it is reaches to the stomach and it may undergo the metabolism. So sometimes it is happening that your drug may not available for the action purpose because it is metabolized. So this is the, it is not for all drug, but for the particular drug it may happen. So to avoid the such problem, we can avoid the taking of such drug through the oral cavity, and same drug we can administer to the rectum route or the vaginal route. So this is the one advantage, that those drugs which are not administered or which are not having the accessibility to the oral route, they can be passed to the your GI tract, your rectum tract. Then another advantage is that for the some drugs, they are getting completely metabolized inside your intestine, inside your stomach. That is called as the first pass metabolism. So in this case, that is called as the first pass metabolism because first time it is getting metabolized and completely it is getting metabolized. That's why very small amount or the negligible amount of drug is remain for the action. Suppose the same drug we are giving through the rectum route, then it is not getting metabolized because there are no enzymes present into the rectum cavity. So all the drugs will be utilized for their action purpose. So this is the advantage. That is, we can avoid the first pass metabolism of your drug. Generally, first pass metabolism is always exist into the only stomach. Suppose you are thinking about your topical injections, then there also we are avoiding the first pass effect. Then another advantage of your drug is your suppositories are there, that is for those drugs with an unacceptable taste as well as the odor. Suppose any drug is too much bitter or it is not having the good odor, so this kind of drugs we cannot administer through the this kind of drugs we cannot admit through the oral cavity, because suppose you are taking the bitter drug, then it may cause the bitterness or it may have the bad odor. So such kind of drug may be rejected by the child. Such kind of drug may be rejected most probably by the your geriatric patients. So for such drug, we can make them into the form of suppository and we can administer through the rectum. So if they are administered by this way, then there is no any problem of your unacceptable taste as well as the bad odor. As well as geriatric patient as well as the childs, they are having the swallowing problem about your tablets. So that problem also will be resolved if it is administered through the rectum route. Then another advantage, some drugs generally are administered for the misuse purpose by the so many peoples. Generally in case of suicidal case, they are using these drugs. So some potent drugs are there. When they are taken in the large quantity, then it might be possible that they can develop the toxicity. Suppose we are converting that drug into the form of the suppositories. We are suppose not developing in the form of tablet or capsule. So that potent drugs, suppose we are prepared in the form of suppository or pessaries, then many times cannot be administered by your patient, and that's why its misuse or abuse will be avoided. So these are the near about 6 to 8 advantages are there about your suppositories. What is first advantage? First advantage is that when oral route is not available or it is not utilized, so in that case we can use the suppository or the rectum route. Then suppose any patient is having any GI problem, gastrointestinal tract problem like nausea is there or any kind of surgery is there into the mouth, so in that case also we can prefer this suppository or we can prefer the rectum route. Then these are also helpful for the geriatric patient and childs, because these kind of people are not accept the tablets because of having the swallowing problem. As well as some mentally disturbed patients are there, they are not supporting to take the tablets by the oral route. So for that patient also we can use the rectum route. As well as another advantage is that those drugs which are having the GI side effects, means those drugs which can cause the potential or the harmful side effects inside your stomach, like acidity, irritation of the stomach, when they are given through the oral cavity. So such kind of drug we can give through the rectum route by converting them into the suppository. Then another advantage is that those drugs which are now not having the stability into the gastrointestinal tract at the pH, or they are susceptible for the enzymatic attack. So it means that some drugs, they are getting unstable or they are getting declined or they are getting metabolized because of the higher pH and because of the presence of enzymes inside the stomach. So that kind of drugs we can give to that patient through the rectum route. Then another advantage is that those drugs which are having the first pass metabolism, it means they are getting metabolized inside your stomach when they are given the orally. It means that is going under the metabolism. When any drug is going under the metabolism, it means its actual structure will be changed and it is not having the ability to show any kind of pharmacological action. So metabolism when occur, it means your drug is getting changed. and the drug is getting changed means your pharmacological action will not be there inside that drug. So it is assumed that, or it is expected that your drug should not be get metabolized till its final action. Then another advantage is that those drugs which are bitter in taste, those drugs which are having the bad odor, and that drugs are not taken by the oral route in the form of tablet or the capsule or the powder. So such kind of drugs we can convert into the pessaries or the suppositories, and then we can administer through the rectum route. So we can minimize the problem, or we can avoid the problem of bitterness as well as the your bad odor. Then another advantage is that those drugs which are abused in the form of tablet and capsule, so that all the drugs we can convert in the form of suppository and pessaries, so they will not be misused by the patients. So these are the various kind of advantages of your suppositories as well as the pessaries. Now the disadvantages. So disadvantages means what? When we are thinking about the advantages of your suppositories compared to the tablets and capsule, so then there are some limitations to your suppositories. So first disadvantage of suppository is that it may cause the irritation when it is administered through the rectum route. Then another disadvantage of suppository and pessary is that there is a traditional issues filling of the aversion, because it is inserted through the rectum cavity, through the anus or through the vaginal cavity. So many patients will have the hesitation, or they will not prefer this route. Then another disadvantage is that the leakage. As I have told you that suppository as well as the pessary will get melted at the body temperature. So sometimes, suppose we have utilized the such base which is having the very we can say low melting point. So what will happen at the 37 degrees centigrade of your body? So many bases may get liquefy when it inserted into the rectum, and when they are getting liquefied, they sometimes may leak out from the rectum cavity, or they can come out from the your body through the rectum route. So there might be chances that loss of drug may be occurred because of the leakage. Then another disadvantage is that sometimes incomplete absorption may occur. Suppose any patient have inserted the suppository or the pessary, so incomplete absorption may be possible, or sometimes it may be possible that fecal matter may interfere for the administration absorption of that drug. Sometimes inter and intra-subject variation may occur. Some people may have the more effect, some people may not have the any effect. So it is depending on the anatomy and physiology of the rectum cavity. Then sometime it may cause the proctitis, that is inflammation of the rectum route. And in this case of inflammation, absorption of the drug may not be clear, or it may not be, we can say, regular. Then in case of the production of your suppository as well as the pessaries, the large scale production is quite difficult, as if you are thinking about the tablets. So there are so many automatic machines are available for the preparation of the tablets, and it is quite easy to manufacture automatically these all the tablets, because dosage form is we can say having the such kind of advantage that it can be manufactured in the large scale production by using the automatic machines. But in case of the semi-solid preparations like your suppository and your pessary, it is very much difficult to prepare them into the large scale production by using the automatic machines. Actually, in this case, we require a lot of attention while manufacturing of your tablet, your capsule, your suppository as well as the pessaries, because we have to maintain the required temperature, we have to melt them, and then after that we have to pour it into your mold. So that's why the manufacturing procedure as well as your specific. Okay. The first disadvantage is that there is the possibility that it may cause the irritation. Then second one is there is a traditional issues regarding the feeling of aversion. Then leakage is there. Then after that we have seen about their incomplete absorption will be there, proctitis may be there. Then it is having the regarding the large scale production difficulty. So in case of the disadvantage, uh, if we can if you want to produce your suppositories at the large scale production, so it is quite difficult because of the your dosage form, like your suppository as well as pessaries. So it is this quite semi solid dosage forms. That's why it is not supporting to the your automatic machines. So every time you have to make the attention, because all the drugs and base we have to melt, and then after that it we have to pour into the mold, and then we have to solidify it. So that's why always at the every step we have to make the attention about your solidification. Temperature should not be increased while melting, because your drug may get burned out if the temperature reaches at the higher temperature. So that's why it is quite difficult to produce your suppository as well as the pessary at the large scale. So that's why it is not that much economical. Then next disadvantage is that about the shelf life or the total life of your product. As I have told you that your suppositories as well as the pessaries, they are prepared by using the bases, like waxy bases are there. So they do not have the much more life or the longer span as like as tablet as well as the capsule. So shelf life is we can say quite low, or the period is small compared to the tablet, because these waxy bases may get rancid, and it may not be, we can say, utilized after the its rancidation. So another thing is that these are the semi-solid bases, they may get easily affected because of the environmental higher temperatures. So that's why always we have to maintain the required cold temperature or the cool temperature, then only it will be stable, otherwise it may get leak out, because uh, the system is decided for this your suppository and pessary is that when they are reaches administered into the rectum cavity or the vaginal cavity, they should get melted at the body temperature. So we are using the such a material for preparation of the suppository or the pessaries. That material should get melted at the body temperature. So that's why when we are keeping them at the room temperature, so we have to take the care, because the temperature should not reach up to the 37 degrees centigrade. Otherwise, in the package itself, they will get melted. So that's why the temperature we have to maintain very low, that it may remain unmelted, it may remain hard condition. If the your suppository is not that much hard, then it is quite difficult to insert through the rectum cavity. So that's why we have to maintain the required temperature. Then another thing is that in case of the suppository as well as pessaries, it is found that the rectum tract condition is always affect on the absorption of the drug. Sometimes there is might be possible that from the rectum cavity it may not absorb fully, because there is the development of any inflammation or any diseases there. So because of that, it may not having the you can say good absorption. Sometimes fecal material may present, and they may affect on the absorption of the suppositories or the pessaries. So that's why while preparation of such kind of suppository and pessaries, we have to think about these advantages and disadvantages. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of your suppositories. Then types of suppositories or the types of pessaries. Generally, there are the so many types of suppositories are there. Suppose first type is the rectal suppositories are there. They are having the cone shaped or torpedo shaped. The weight of this suppository is near about 1 to 2 gram. Then vaginal suppositories or the vaginal pessaries are there. They are globular, oviform, cone shaped, weight shaped, and near about 2 to 8 gram is their weight. And they are made up of from glycerogelatin or the macrogel base. Then urethral suppositories, they are also called as the urethral boogies. They are near about a thin pencil shape is there, and they are having the sharp points at the one end. Because of the, it will facilitate for the administration. Then male boogies are there and female boogies are there. Male boogies are having the 4 gram and near about 100 to 150 size. Then female boogies are having the 2 gram size weight and 60 to 75 in size. Then nasal boogies are there. They are administered through the nasal cavity. Like thin pencil shaped pointed ends are there. 1.5, 1.2 gram to 9 gram is there, and 9 to 10 long is there. Then ear cones are also there. They are called as the pencil shaped material. Actually, these ear cones and nasal boogies, they are administered into the ear as well as the nasal. They are meant for the administration into the nasal boogies, nasal cavity as well as the ear cavity. As well as these urethral boogies are also meant for the administration them into directly urethral cavity or the urethra. These are the different size and shapes are there. Zero size is there for the specially suppositories which are administered to the rectum side, like zero size. Then zero size is utilized for the children purpose. It is smallest size. Then another sizes are there like 1, 2, and 3. Generally, they are utilized for the rectal use. Then 4 sizes there, that is pessaries are there, which are prepared by using the 4 number mold. Then another size are there like A and B. So these are the special size which are utilized for the preparation of the nasal and urethral boogies. These are the different shapes of suppositories are there. Round oval shape, long oval shape, then teardrop shape is there, bullet shape is there, tampon shape is there. Now, what should be the ideal suppository, or what are the your ideal properties of suppositories, or we can say that which is the best suppository. So first thing is that when we are saying that this is the ideal suppository or your suppository should have the such kind of ideal properties, so we can say these are the your expectations, that whenever you are purchasing any product, then we can expect some good qualities from that product. So that is called as the ideal properties. So first thing about the your suppository is that in the your suppository base or the your regarding your pessaries, so it is expected that when it is administered, so it should melt at the body temperature very promptly. Then another ideal property is there, that it should dissolve or disperse in the body fluids. Then another property, it is expected that it should release all the medicaments when it is melting in the body. Then it should retain its shape when handled. It means when you are removed from the packet and you are going to utilize that suppository or the pessaries, so there should not be changes in the shape occurred. So as the while preparation of that suppository there was the shape, so the same shape should remain till the final utilization of that suppository. There should not be changes occurred into the shape. Then it should be non-toxic, non-irritating to the mucous membrane. Then it should be have the good stability. Yes, yes.
सर स्लाइड चेंज नहीं हुई.
Okay, just wait. Now, is it visible?
Yes, sir.
ये दिख रही है? Okay. So These are the expectations from the suppository, that it should melt at the body temperature, it should dissolve completely when it is administered through the rectum cavity. So it should melt or dissolve completely and it should release the drug. Then it should retain its shape and size when it is handled by any person, because it is, I have already told that it is semi-solid in nature. It may affected by the environmental temperature. Suppose it is removed from the package, so it should have the same shape and size when it was manufactured. Then it should not be toxic, as well as it should not be irritant to the mucous membrane, as well as it should be stable when it is stored for the longer period into the your storage. Then it should be compatible with the all the medicaments. Suppose you are taking the 2 or 3 drugs and you are preparing your suppository, so in that case there should not be any kind of effect of that both the drug on your suppository, or there should not be any incompatibility between that drugs. Then it should be stable above the melting point. It means, suppose the melting point is 37 degrees centigrade, and suppose temperature is increased and it is reaches to the 38 degrees centigrade. So in that case, there should not be burning of that material should occur. It means it should be melted, but any kind of permanent lot should not be there. Suppose you are using any drug or any other material along with your suppository, so it may be have the good stability up to the 37 degrees centigrade or above that temperature. Then another ideal property is expected that it should be easily moldable. Easily moldable means what? When we are preparing the suppository, so in that case, first of all we have to melt your base and your drug we have to mix, and then that liquid we are pouring into the any mold, and after that we are allowing it to cool and we are allowing it to become hard, and then after that we are removing it from the mold. So suppose your base is not getting become hard after cooling also, and it is remaining into the liquid state, it means that your suppository is not supporting to that mold or to that procedure. So it is expected that whatever the bases we are using, so they are should be having the ability to become very much hard, very easily to become hard at the, we can say, lowest temperature. Then another ideal property is that your suppository should not stick or should not adhere to the mold. When we have prepared the suppository and after that we have poured the material into the mold and we want to remove that suppository from the mold, so in that case it should not be stick to the mold. Actually these two ideal properties you may not have the understanding, because you don't have the actual idea about your procedure. When you will become aware about the method of preparation, then you can understand easily what are these two ideal properties. That is, it should not adhere to the mold and it should be moldable. So these are the ideal properties or the expectations from your suppository by the any kind of user. Now, when we are preparing the suppositories, generally we have to use the bases, or in simple way we can call that called as a vehicles. Now bases are nothing but these are the waxy materials. So along with waxy material we are mixing the drug and we are giving the shape, and after that we are using them as a suppositories. So these are the, we can say, very much important ingredient of your suppository, that is the basis. As in your liquid preparations we are using the water as a vehicle or water as a carrier, and we are adding all the ingredients in that water along with your drug. So in this case we are using the waxy bases or waxy materials, and then we are administering adding the drug by dissolving that drug, or by melting that drug we are mixing it with the bases, and then that bases we are giving the shape. So that is nothing but the, we can say, types of that suppository bases. Now there are the two types of bases are available. One type is the fatty bases, means they are oily in nature totally. Another bases are the water soluble bases. or they are miscible with the water. So in the fatty bases, there are the examples of cocoa butter, synthetic fats, and proprietary synthetic bases are there. It means they are prepared by synthetic procedure. So here cocoa butter and synthetic fats, most probably we are using, as well as the nowadays we are having also synthetic bases also, depending on your requirement we have prepared that basis. Now why there are the fatty bases we have to use? Suppose your drug is having the oil solubility more, so in that case we can use this fatty base. Then another type of basis is there, water soluble bases. Examples are glycerogelatin and macrogols. So these two bases are most probably we are utilizing when we are having the drug which is having the more water solubility. It means your drug is aqueous type nature. So this kind of drug can be administered or can be metabolized, can be melted or can be dissolved into the such kind of water soluble bases. So it is quite easyable. So these are the two type of bases we are using for the preparation of the suppositories. Another examples is there, like your fatty bases are theobroma oil, synthetic fats are there, and water soluble and water immiscible bases like glycerogelatin bases and macrogols. Now we'll see regarding the what are the specifications or the what are the typical information about your this cocoa butter. Cocoa butter, or this is also called as the theobroma oil. So this is the one oily base, and it is utilized for the preparation of the suppositories. This theobroma oil or this cocoa butter is having the melting point range from 30 degrees centigrade to 36 degrees centigrade. That means it will be easily melt at the 36 degrees centigrade. Now advantage is that it liquefies easily on heating, and it also sets rapidly when it is cooled. It is also one bland type material, and it is not having any kind of irritation into the rectum cavity when we are utilizing theobroma oil. Then what are the problems or what are the disadvantages of the theobroma oil when it is utilized as a base? Now this theobroma oil is having the one tendency that it is having the ability to change from one form to the another form when we are heating it. Like we can say it is called as the polyform or the polyformism. So it undergo the polymorphism, and it may not have the good stability. Generally it is changing its form from alpha form to the beta and beta to the gamma, and it is found that its beta form is having the good stability. So while preparing the your suppository, and suppose you are preparing taking the theobroma oil, then we should use its beta form. Then another disadvantage of theobroma oil is that it gets shrinks when we are cooling it very slightly. It means at a very low temperature, or at the, we can say when we are cooling it, so it will get shrinks. So we can say there are the wrinkles develop on the your suppositories. Another is disadvantage is that it is very much prone for the oxidation. So your suppository may get oxidized, or oxidation may possible when we are preparing this suppository by using the cocoa butter oil. And another disadvantage of theobroma oil is that there is the batch to batch variation is found. It means when we are preparing the one batch of suppository and we are preparing another batch, so it is found that there is a little bit changes in the shape of that suppository is found. It means your theobroma oil, when you are utilizing, then it is found that it may give the variation in the batches. Then another oil is there, synthetic fats are there. When we are using the synthetic fats, so synthetic fats are also having the versatile advantages. The synthetic fats are very much suitable one. Generally, it is having the vegetable oils. They have many advantages over the theobromine oil. These synthetic fats are having the very good solidifying points, and they are not affected by the heating one. Suppose sometimes it is getting overheated, then also they will not get damaged. Then these synthetic fats is having the one good advantage that they are not much more prone for the oxidation process. So they will not get oxidized. Then while preparing your suppositories, suppose you are using the synthetic fats, then no need of the lubrication. It means they are not sticking to the mold. Then another advantage of your synthetic fat is that they produce the suppositories that are white as well as the almost odorless, and they are having the very attractive one and very clean one and polished appearance. So these are the advantages of your synthetic fats, that when we are preparing the suppository by using synthetic fat, generally that suppositories are having the very attractive look, very shiny look, as well as they do not have any odor, as well as they are having the very white color. So these are the synthetic fats advantages. Then disadvantages of these fats. The viscosity of melted fat is less than that of the theobromine oil. So there is the greater risk of drug particle sedimentation during the preparation. It means when we are preparing the suppositories, for prior to preparation we are melting your material, and after melting we have to pour it into the your mold. So after the pouring of your material into the mold, we have to allow it for the cool. So while cooling process, your drug may settle at the bottom because it is having the high density. So this is the one risk, that your drug will not be we can say mixed throughout your suppository, because your synthetic fats are having the less viscosity when it is melted. So for that purpose, while cooling, we have to, we can say, stir that mold or that material, so to mix your drug throughout your suppository. So it is quite difficult one. Generally, these synthetic fats are become brittle when they are cooled too much, and when they are kept at the refrigeration, or when we have kept your suppositories into the refrigeration or refrigerator, then it may get break, because at the lowest temperature they may get breakdown. As well as in the synthetic fats, there are the so many type of derivatives are available. They are having the different types of hardness and the melting points. So there is the very much variation occur into the drug absorption when it is utilized. Then glycerogelatin bases are there. They are water soluble one. Generally, glycerogelatin is the mixture of glycerol and water, and they are prepared as a gel type material by adding the gelatin material. So glycerin, gelatin and water we have to mix, then we can get the gelatin, glycerogelatin base. Generally, it is used for the making the jellies, suppositories and pastries. Glycerogelatin dissolves in the body secretions, and therefore it is preferable to the fatty bases or administering the antiseptics. Generally, through these bases, drug will be very slowly released inside your rectum cavity. So we can say it is helping for the prolonged release of the drug inside the rectum cavity. Generally, it is having the 1 hour disintegration time. Once the suppository of this base is inserted into the rectum cavity, it will take near about 1 hour for the complete disintegration or the complete meltation. Then disadvantage of this glycerogelatin bases. The disadvantage of glycerogelatin bases consist of This kind of bases are having the rectal irritation as they dissolve in the mucous secretions of the rectum. Generally, osmosis may occur and it may produce the laxative effect. Laxative effect means it may stimulate the gastrointestinal tract and there might be chances of removal of the fecal material. Then it means they are acting as enema. They are also hygroscopic in nature. So when the any material is hygroscopic, it means it will absorb the moisture, and when it is absorbing the moisture from the environmental condition, then it can have the, you can say, development of the microorganism, or they may contaminated by the any other material. So to avoid the microbial growth, we need to add the preservatives. Sometimes that added preservatives may cause the incompatibility with the drug, or they can cause any type of incompatibility with the other ingredients. Generally, by using the glycerogelatin base, it is quite difficult to prepare the suppositories because they require the too much low temperature to make it hard. Because at the normal temperature, they become, we can say, viscous, and your suppository may get melt at the lower temperature itself. The solution time of this bases depends on its content and the quality of that gelatin which is utilized. Generally, these kind of bases are preferred for the preparation of pessaries, not for the suppositories. Then macrogols are there. These macrogols are the polyethylene glycols which are blended or the mixed material together to produce the suppository base. We can change its melting points, dissolution rates, and physical characteristics by varying the various proportions of that polyethylene glycols. The release of the drug from this suppository or from this base is depending on the dissolution time. Generally, it requires the 50 degrees centigrade. So when it is administered, so it will take too much time for the releasing of the drug. When we are using the higher molecular weights polyethylene glycols, then it will have the that type of we can say hardness, and that type of higher temperature will be required. Advantages of macrogols are they do not have any kind of physiological effect or any kind of we can say side effects on your rectum cavity. They do not are prone. They do not prone for the microbial contamination, or they do not have any kind of hygroscopy. That's why no microbes can be developed. They are also having the very much high capacity to absorb the more water, and they dissolve into the rectum cavity. They can form the viscous solution. So there is a very small chances of leakage, or there is no chances of leakage of that material when it is melted. Then disadvantages of macrogols are they are hygroscopic, which means they must be carefully stored. Then they become brittle if cooled too much quickly. There is the possibility that they may cause the incompatibility with the several drugs, like your benzocaine is there, penicillin is there. This kind of drugs are having the incompatibility with the macrogols. There is the problem of the crystal growth occurs when drugs are causing the irritation to the rectal mucosa. Now the preparation of the suppositories molds. These are the various molds we are using for the preparation of the suppositories. So base plus drug we have to melt, and then we have to pour it into this mold. These are the different types of molds are there, having the such kind of cavities. In that cavity we have to pour your material, and we have to cool that total mold. Once the mold is cooled, then your material will become solidify, and then after that we have to separate that mold into the two parts. So by this way we can separate out your suppository from the mold. See, this is the separation of your mold. Now the calibration of the mold. Calibration of mold means what? when we are pouring the material into the mold, then what is the capacity of that mold? How much amount of drug and base can be held inside your mold? That is called as the calibration of the mold. Because when we are adding the drug into your base, then dose is fixed. So how much amount of dose is there, and after that how much amount of base will be required, that we have to calculate. Then only we have to use that mold. So that's why we have to calibrate any kind of mold, because sometimes large suppository may develop, or very small suppository may be developed. Suppose the weight is different for suppository, it means that your dose of drug will be varied. If the drug dose is varied, means you will not get the proper effect. Sometimes suppose dose is too much large, then toxicity may develop, because you are giving the large dose. And suppose there is a small dose is delivered to the patient, it means you will not get the effect. So that's why all the suppositories should have the equal concentration of drug. That's why we have to go for the calibration of the mold. So the basic intention behind the calibration of mold is that there should not be any kind of variation occurs inside your mold, and there should not be any kind of variation occurs inside your weight of suppositories. So all the suppositories should have the equal weight and equal concentration of the drug. Now, what is the process of the molding? Molding means what is the process of preparation of your suppository. Generally, it is common procedure that first of all we have to melt the base, and then we have to incorporate or add your drug which is to be utilized. Then after that we have to mix that material, that melted base plus your drug, and then we have to pour it into your mold, and then we have to allow it for the solidification by keeping it at the cool temperature. And one thing we have to mention here, I want to mention here, that prior to pouring your material into the mold, we have to lubricate that mold. Lubrication means we can apply any kind of oil to your mold sides, because after the pouring your material, it may stick to your walls of mold. So that's why for the easily removal of your suppositories, so we have to lubricate it with the help of any kind of oil material. Then this is the one method that by using the molding process we can prepare the suppositories. Now another procedure is there, that is called as the hand rolling. Suppose your base is not supporting to your mold process, or we don't want to use the mold process, then instead of that we can prepare your suppositories by using the hand rolling process. It is very easy process. In this process we have to take your drug and we have to make it fine powder. Then you take your base and administer your drug into that base. Now mix that material by triturating it. No need to melt it, just mix it with the help of mortar and pestle. That is called as the trituration, or the kneading of that material, means mixing. Then after that you just roll that material and form it into the cylindrical shape with the help of your flat surface. You can use the tile also, or you can use any kind of flat surface. So while rolling, the shape should be the equal, and then after that you can cut that roll into the specific shape, into the equal shape or the desired shape. Then allow it to the cool, and then it will become hard. So this is called as the hand rolling process. Then another procedure is there, that is called as the compression procedure. So it is quite modified technique. So in this process, take your base and your other ingredients as per your formula. You just weight that material and mix it very ideally with the help of mortar and pestle. After the ideal mixing, that all the drug is mixed totally and all the material is mixed totally with each other, place that material into the cylinder there is one cylinder. In that cylinder, we have to place that all the material. Then after that, we have to close that cylinder and we have to apply the pressure on one side. Because of that pressure, that material will be pushed inside the molds, and then because of the pushing of that material into the molds, it will be converted into the different shape. So that is called as the compressed type of material or the compressed type of suppositories. Then after that, you allow to cool that molds and then you can remove your suppositories. Simply the difference between the compression material method and your molding method is that here we are not heating your material, just we are pressing your material with the help of pressure into the mold. This is called as the compression machine. Then packaging of your suppositories. For the packaging of suppositories, we can use your paper boards, boxes, as well as we can use the flat type of boxes. And after that, we can label that box. And on the label, we have to write that it should be stored in the cool place. As well as we have to write one intimation on your suppository box that it should not be utilized by the oral, or it should be utilized for the rectum route only. As well as we have to write the another direction that it should be moistened before the use. It means with the help of little bit water, we can moist it and then we can use, especially for the glycerogelatin suppositories. So this kind of labeling and this kind of information is necessary. Then packaging and labeling for the pessaries. Generally, your glass bottles can be utilized for the keeping your pessaries, as well as plastic bottles also can be utilized for the storing of your pessaries. Then labeling. So on the label of your bottle, we have to write regarding moisten the pessaries with water before you utilize, because it may help for the insertion or it may cause the lubrication and it will be easily inserted. Then for vaginal use only and not to be taken orally, such kind of intimation we have to write. And then we have to write again that it should be stored into the cool place. Then displacement value is there. I have already told you that we have to calibrate the mold, and along with the mold, we have to calculate the displacement value. Now, what is the displacement value? Displacement value means what? When we are taking the one drug and we are taking the base and we are preparing your suppository. Now, if you have the idea about the density of your drug and its volume, then only we can take your base. It means there is a limitation for the volume inside your mold. All the molds are having the same volume, and in that particular volume, we have to prepare the. Now, displacement value means what? When we are taking any drug which is having the specific density, or it is having the more volume. So while taking the drug, first of all, we have to consider about how much amount of drug we are taking, and then when we are placing that drug into your mold, how much amount or how much volume of that mold is it is taking. Then after that, we have to consider about the remaining amount of your base. So it is the one value, it will give the exact amount of your base which is you have to take while preparation of your suppositories, because there are the differences in the densities of the drug. They may require the different volume. So that's why we have to calculate your displacement value of that drug. Suppose today you have taken the X drug and tomorrow you want to take the Y drug. So mold will be the same and your base will be the same. But suppose your next drug is requiring the more volume. It means we have to reduce your amount of the base. Suppose third day you want to prepare any kind of suppositories having any kind of drug. Suppose Z type of drug is you are taking. Then Again, suppose that drug is requiring the more space depending on its density and depending on its weight, then you have to change the amount of your base. See here, you have to vary your amount of base, but you cannot vary your amount of drug, because your volume of mold is constant. But in case of tablet, you can increase the weight of tablet or you can increase the shape of tablet. So here your other ingredients you can vary, like your base you can vary, but you cannot vary your amount of drug. So that's why always you have to calculate the displacement value of your drug. It means that when you have taken the one drug, then how much amount of base we have to reduce. So that is called as the displacement value. So in the pharmaceutical language, you can say that the displacement value of drug is the number of parts by weight of the drug which displaces the part of the base or the weight of that base. Then displacement value is refers to the values of theobroma oil. These values can also be used for the other fatty bases. Generally, by considering the displacement value of theobroma oil, we are calculating first of all theobroma oil value, and then we are calculating the displacement value, and the same value we are considering for the other excipients. Evaluation test for the suppositories, which means that we are going to check the quality of your suppositories. That is called as the evaluation test. Evaluation means we are comparing quality of your suppository with the standards, or comparison of your material with the standard values. That is called as the evaluation. Once we have prepared the suppositories, then how they are prepared, whether they are having the good quality or not, what is its melting point, whether they will melt at the body temperature or not. So prior to utilization of any dosage form, we should evaluate it. We should check its qualities, whether the qualities of that product are as per your desires or not. So to check that qualities, we have to evaluate that product for the different parameters. So that parameters are called as evaluation parameters or the evaluation test. They are also called as the quality control test. See, these are the different types of evaluation parameter for the suppositories. First one is the uniformity of weight, melting point, liquefaction or the softening time, breaking test, and disintegration or the dissolution test of the suppository. We'll see one by one. What is meant by the uniformity of the weight? Uniformity of weight means what? When we have prepared the tablets, as well as we have prepared the suppositories, as I have told you that it is containing the one-time dose in the tablet also, in the capsules also, as well as in the suppositories also. In the definition of the suppository, we are always mentioning that it is the unit type dosage form. It means it is containing the one-time dose. As well as the same definition is applicable for the tablet as well as your capsule. They are called as the solid unit dosage form. So solid unit dosage forms means they are containing the one-time dose or the single dose. When we are preparing the tablet, capsule, as well as the suppositories, as well as the pessaries, it means that it should have the one-time dose. As well as another thing we have to mention that there should have the equal weight. Suppose you are preparing the suppositories, once 6 suppositories you have prepared, then that all the 6 suppositories must have the equal weight, or every suppository must have the same weight. So that is called as the uniformity of the weight. If the weight of that suppository is getting changed, suppose first suppository is having the 500 mg, second suppository is having the 600 mg weight, third suppository is having the 300 mg weight. We can say it is the variation in the weight. So what is the ultimate meaning? If the weight is changing, or if there is the variation in the weight, it means that every suppository is having the different weight of the drug or the different quantity of the drug. So it leads to the your unwanted action of the drug. You will not get the expected result of the drug, because some suppositories having the extra dose, some suppositories having the lowest dose. So it should not be like that. So every suppository must have the nearly equal weight. Little bit variation may be possible, but most probably it should not be more than 5% or less than 5% deviation in the weight. So for that purpose, we have to carry out the uniformity weight test. So how it is carried out? So for the uniformity test, for the tablet as well as for the capsule and for the suppository, we used to take the near about 20 suppositories. In case of tablets, we are taking the 20 tablets. After the manufacturing or after the preparation of your dosage forms, first of all, you take the any 20 tablets or the any 20 suppositories. Then after that, you go for the taking weight of every suppositories. Individually, we have to take the weight. Take the first suppository weight on weighing balance, then measure the another suppository, write down its weight. So for every 20 suppository, we have to calculate its individual weight by using the any kind of suitable weighing balance. Then after that, go for the addition of that weight of every suppository. Then calculate the average weight of that all the 20 suppositories. Now average weight means what? When you have measured the 20 suppositories, then you add the 20 suppositories weight, then divide the total weight of 20 suppositories by the 20. Then you will get the average weight of every suppositories. So this is called as the average weight. Then after that, you just compare from first suppository to 20 suppository. That first suppository, how much its weight and what is the actual average weight. So there might be a difference in the average weight and the individual weight. Then by measuring or by comparing the every suppository's weight with the average weight, you will get the idea that some suppositories are having the more weight than the average weight. Some suppositories are having the lower weight than the average weight. So the formula is here, or as per the official standard, it is considered that there should not be much more deviation, or there should not be much more difference in the average weight and the individual weight. It might be possible that 5% difference may be there, or it is accepted that if there is the 5% difference between the average weight and the individual weight, then that suppository can be accepted. As well as it might be possible that from 20 suppositories, 2 suppositories may have the more difference than the 5%. Like some suppositories may have the too much less dose, and some suppositories may have the too much large dose. So likewise, from the 20 suppositories, only for the 2 suppositories, there is the concession, or we can have the consideration that there might be chances that 7.5% weight variation may be there, or it is accepted that up to the 7.5% weight variation can be possible for the 2 suppositories. It means difference between the individual weight and final weight, average weight. So for the any 2 suppositories, it is considerable that there might be chances that the difference may be up to the 7.5%. Sometimes there may be the we can say larger weight of that individual suppository than the average weight, or sometimes lower weight of that suppository than your individual average weight. So the difference is given, that is the 7.5%, it is accepted one. So this is called as the uniformity of weight test. Again, I would like to repeat it. How to calculate the uniformity weight test, or the how to conduct this test for the suppositories. First of all, you take the 20 suppositories, then go for the weighing of that each and every suppositories by using the any kind of suitable weighing balance. Then after that, suppose you have measure the every suppository's weight, you just add that weight and divide it by the 20. It means we have to calculate the average weight of that 20 suppositories. Now compare the each and every suppository's weight individually with the average weight. There should not be a much more difference between the your individual weight and the average weight. For the 18 suppositories, there should not be more than 5% deviation in the average weight and the individual weight. And for the 2 suppositories, there should not be a more than 7.5% deviation or the difference between the individual weight and the average weight. So this is called as the uniformity weight test. Suppose it is found that the any one suppository is not having the, it is having the difference between the individual weight and the average weight more than 7.5%. It means that batch is failed. Again, we have to go for the preparation of the suppositories. Then another test is called as the melting range test. Now melting range test means what? As we have told that when the suppository is inserted into the rectum cavity or the vaginal cavity, then it will melt at the body temperature. So it is considerable that for every suppository when we are using it, so it will be melted at the body temperature. Suppose it is not possible or it is not happen, means what? That will remain as it is inside the body, it is not melted means, so it will not be useful. So that's why whether it will be melt at the body temperature or not, that we have to consider or confirm outside the body itself. So after the preparation of your each and every suppositories, you take any one suppository and go for the melting it. Just keep it into the any kind of instrument and increase the its temperature and then check the its melting point. So by using the your capillary tube, you can find out the melting point of that suppositories. Then what is the temperature is required to melt that suppository, we can find out. So another test they have given that you can use the disintegration tablet disintegration apparatus. In the disintegration apparatus, you just take the water and add your suppository and increase the temperature up to 37 degrees centigrade, and then you can find out that at which temperature it is going to be melt. Then you can note down that at which temperature it has started the melting. Then liquefaction and softening time test. Liquefaction or the softening time test means at which time or how much time is required to liquefy your suppository, or how much time is required to just soften your suppository. That is called as a liquefaction or the softening time. For that purpose, you just take the one U-shape apparatus is there, and in that U-shape apparatus we have to add your suppository, and then you add the one glass rod on that suppository, and then measure the how much time is required to liquefy or to soften your suppository, as well as that U-shaped tube we have to keep into the hot water. So then you will get the idea that at which point your suppository has become softened or it is started for the liquefy. So when it will start to melt, it means it will started for the liquefaction. So when we are keeping the rod on that suppository, when the liquefaction will start, then that rod will come down, because the liquefaction has been started. When it will get totally liquefied, then your rod will become come at the down, completely down, because there is no any hard support for that rod. That's why it will come down. Then breaking test is there. Breaking test means when you have prepared the suppository, then whether it will be having the good breaking ability or not, whether it will break very easily or not, that we have to determine. Because when we are preparing the suppositories, they are little bit, we can say, soft, as well as they are little bit, we can say, semi-solid nature. So it might be possible that when we are packing them and we are transporting them for the selling purpose, so during the transportation, it may break down inside the package itself. So your suppository must have the good ability to remain intact as it is till the your final user is utilizing it. Suppose your suppository is break down in the journey itself, then your consumer may not be purchase it, or sometimes it may not be become useful, so it may become wastage. So that we can say that your suppository may not having the good ability, or the it is not having the good hardness. So to find out this parameter, we are performing the breaking test on the suppositories. So for that purpose, whatever the suppositories we have prepared, we just take any one suppository and keep it on the 2 glass rod, and at the middle we have to give the pressure, or just add the weight like 1 gram weight, 2 gram weight, and then watch whether after addition of the 2 gram weight it will getting break, after addition of 3 gram weight it will be break. So likewise we have to add the number of weights, and at which weight it will be breakdown, that we have to record. It means we will get the idea that how much amount of pressure we have to give on the suppository, then it will break down. So that is called as the breaking test. So by this way we can find out that how much your suppository can, suppository can tolerate the amount of that weight or amount of that pressure. Then according to that we can make the packaging of your suppository, and we can transmit it to the your seller. Then disintegration test or the dissolution test. The disintegration means what? Disintegration means breaking of the material into the small particle, that is called as the disintegration. And dissolution means completely melting of your material, or completely solubilization of your material into your media or into your solvent, that is called as the dissolution. Generally, disintegration means generally it is utilized for the tablet. When tablet is reaches to the stomach, then first of all it will get breakdown, and then it will convert into the small particle. So how much time is required? How much time is required for the breaking of your material into the small particle? That is called as the disintegration time, and this is most important for the many type of solid dosage forms. So in case of your suppository, we can calculate the disintegration time, that when we are inserted into the rectum cavity, then at which time or how much time it will take to completely disintegrate. So that is called as the disintegration time. Or instead of disintegration time, we can calculate the dissolution time, that how much time it will require for the suppository to completely dissolve into your body fluid, or to completely melt inside the body fluid. So that is called as the dissolution time or the dissolution test. Generally, to carry out this test, we are using the various types of instruments like disintegration test apparatus as well as the dissolution test apparatus. For the disintegration purpose, there is the one disintegration test apparatus in the disintegration test apparatus, there is one beaker, and in that beaker we have to add the 200 ml of water, and we have to increase the temperature of that water up to 37 degrees centigrade. Now once the temperature is made up to 37 degrees centigrade, then add your suppository and then move that apparatus up and down. So when that apparatus starts to move up and down, then that beaker will also move up and down. So because of that, there will be the shaking of that suppository will occur inside your beaker. Then you just note down the time after the administration of that suppository in the beaker. Then you just note down that how much time is required to break down your suppository. This is called as the disintegration time. Then the another test is the dissolution test. In the dissolution test, we have to take the dissolution test apparatus. In the dissolution test apparatus, we have to add the 900 ml of water and then add your suppository. Then rotate that suppository with the help of paddle. So there should be a continuous agitation inside your beaker. And then when we have added your suppository, note down that time and then take the reading that after how much time your suppository is completely melted inside that solution or inside that water. That is called as a dissolution test. Then another thing is we have to also calculate the displacement value of your drug. Whatever the drug we are used for the preparation of your suppositories, so we have to calculate the displacement value prior to manufacturing. So for the calculation of the displacement value, we have to go for the measuring of the displacement value. First of all, you should know the density of that drug and what the base we are going to use. So that density of that base also we should know. So the displacement value will be equal to the displacement value of the medicament or the displacement value of your drug divided by density of your base. These are the various kind of displacement values of some medicaments are there. These are known one, like amylopine is there, zinc oxide is there, resorcinol is there, tannic acid, bismuth subgallate, hydrocortisone, peru balsam. So these are the generally drugs we are using inside your suppositories, and these are their displacement value. For the aminophile, there is the 1.5, zinc oxide there is the 5, resorcinol there is the 1, tannic acid 1. So these are the displacement value of different drugs. So this is the one calculation I have given you. Now another calculation is there. Suppose they have told that prepare the 6 suppositories containing the 300 milligram of the bismuth subgallate, and they have given that the displacement value of subgallate is 3 gram or the 3. Then how will you prepare calculations that how much amount of base you have to minimize? Now quantities are calculated for excess of the 2 suppositories. Suppose you are preparing the suppositories, then you cannot measure the only, suppose 1 gram base is required for preparation of the 1 suppository. Then for the 6 suppositories, we have to calculate the 6 gram. But sometimes it may be wasted while filling your material inside your mold. Then additionally for the 2 suppositories we have to prepare. Means we have to consider for the 8 suppositories. Then we can finally fulfill your mold for the 6 suppositories. Then suppose they have told that you have to prepare for the calculation of your base containing your 300 mg of the bismuth subgallate. Then how will you calculate it? Then here there is a formula, amount of base is required is equal to amount of base minus total amount of the drug upon displacement value. Now here amount of drug is equal to dose for one suppository is equal to 300 mg, because they have told that to prepare the suppository containing the 300 mg of the drug. So for one suppository they require the 300 mg drug. Then suppose you are going to prepare the 10 suppositories, then for the 10 suppository how much drug will be required? 10 into 300, then there will be the 300 milligram of the drug will be required, or we can say 3 gram of the drug will be required. Then amount of base for one plain suppository without drug, it will require the 1 gram, and for the 10 suppositories how much it will require? That is the 10 gram. So first of all we have to mention here like that amount of drug for the one suppository, then amount of the drug for the 10 suppository, then amount of the plain base for the one suppository, then amount of the plain base for the 10 suppository. Just we have to multiply it. Then after getting these values, just go for the further calculation. As per the formula, total amount of drug will be the 3 gram and displacement value of your drug will be the 3. Then total amount of base minus total amount of drug upon displacement value. So here total amount of base when it is required, that is the 10 gram, and minus we have to go for the total amount of the drug. From the base we have to reduce your drug, 10 minus 3, and divide by your displacement value. Then it will be the 10 minus 1, which is equal to 9 gram. So the 9 gram of base and 3 gram of drug will be required to prepare the 10 suppositories. So this is the one calculation. Another calculation is there, that is depending on the calculation for the more drugs. Suppose your suppository is containing the more drugs, then how will you calculate the each and every drugs and how much amount of base you will be removed. So this is another one calculation is given for the different drugs. Suppose you are giving the displacement value, then how much amount of base you will be minimized. So the formula is same. Suppose they have given that prepare the 8 suppositories. Prepare the 8 suppositories containing the hemameli dry extract, that is the drug, zinc oxide and water. Here they have given the 2 drugs, and they have told that you prepare the suppositories containing the 2 drugs, and the base they have given the theobroma oil, as well as they have given the water 0.4 ml. So they have given the formula, as well as they have given the amount for the 8 suppositories. Suppose you want to prepare the 8 suppositories containing the hemameli extract, then we have to take the 1.6 gram. Then zinc oxide, suppose you want to take, so for 8 suppositories the quantity of zinc oxide will be the 4.8 gram, and water will be required the 3.2 ml, and your theobroma oil will be the 2 gram for the one suppository. Then how much amount of theobroma oil will be required for the 8 suppositories? Suppose you are preparing the plain suppositories containing the only theobroma oil, then it will take the near about 16 gram, 16 gram for the preparation of the 8 suppositories if you are preparing the without drug. But here we are adding the drugs like hemameli extract and zinc oxide. Then how much amount of the theobroma oil will be required for the preparation of your suppositories? Then they have given the displacement values of all the drug. Now the formula is that amount of base required is equal to total base without any drug. When you are preparing the suppository, then how much amount the total base will require, that base you have to take, minus amount of the drugs required for the preparation of your final suppositories. As they are given amount of the drug 1.6 gram, 4.8 gram and 3.2 ml of your water. And then by this way we have to just add your values. Total amount of base required is equal to the total base, that is the, suppose you are preparing the plain suppositories just without any kind of drug. If you want to prepare the suppositories, then here theobroma oil is required 2 gram for the one suppository. Then for the 8 suppository it will require the near about 16 gram, sorry. So 8 into 2, that will be the near about 16. Then in the formula they have given that amount of drug A plus B plus C. Drug A is your extract drug B is your zinc oxide and drug C is your water. And we have to divide the displacement value behind your drug amount. So 1.6 gram is the extract value total required. So we have to divide it by the displacement value. Plus another zinc oxide drug they have given, that is 4.8 gram. We have to divide it by its displacement value. Another one is the 3.2, that is the water, how much amount of water is required. Then we have to divide it by the 1, it is displacement value. Now solve this equation. Here 16 is equal to, here 1.07 plus 0.96 plus 3.2. Then after this calculation, you will get one value that 16 minus 5.23. So it's equal to the 10.77 gram. So the total base is 10.77 gram is required, and other your remaining drug is the 9.6 gram. 9.6 gram means how it is came. You are taking the 1.6 gram of the drug, that is the extract, 4.8 gram zinc oxide and 3.2 ml water. Now just calculate it, how much amount it is coming, that will become as the 9.6 gram. Then you have to mix your base 10.77 gram and 9.6 gram of your drug. So by this way, we can solve this your equations. I will forward this equation into the PPT. Then you can try to solve this. And if it is not understood, then again I will try to repeat this all the equations. So this was about your suppositories.